Hi, it's Calpicon, otherwise known as RT. This is my first regular video blog. Although I've been on YouTube for quite some time, a couple years or something. I don't know, you look at it. I've never actually done a regular video blog, but recently I've been kind of reading a lot of other people's video blogs, and I've been thinking about writing response to some of them, and then I thought, like, well, maybe I have something to say. Maybe somebody wants to hear. I don't know. For what it's worth, don't cost nothing, so I thought I'd just record something. Um, I want to talk a little bit about, of course, I live in Japan, and I'd like to talk about living, teaching, working, and visiting Japan. So, and one of the topics that, well, I've been reading a lot of blogs about, like, especially teaching in Japan. And there are a lot of blogs like by people who work as ALTs, um, or people who work on the JET program, and people talking about the JET program, people talking about working as a regular English teacher at a school, people talking about working at private language schools, and so forth. One of the topics that I think is kind of interesting, that some people might want to know some information about is not teaching at a school, not teaching as an ALT, but doing extra work or teaching privates. Because I've been in Japan for 20 years, and at present I work at the university. And for my first 3 years in Japan, I was on the JET program. And I have never not had a private job. So some of the things you do, um, teaching privates, there are all kinds of privates. I mean, and it ranges from teaching babies to teaching retirees. So um, and there's a lot there. But I mean, after my first month here, I came on the JET program. As I said, I was asked to teach. Um, I was asked to teach for a company first of all, like once a week, evening lesson at a company. And I was asked to teach at someone's house. Someone said, "Hey, can you come to my house and teach me and my friends like once a week?" And some of them are hard to turn down. And of course, you don't do that for free. You get paid, so it's extra money, which is good for a lot of people. But there are a lot of considerations you have to take into account before you do it. Um, I, Personally, I don't know, or I should say, I know very few people where I live um, who don't do anything beyond their whatever their job is. But that being said, there are people who do that, and there are restrictions to doing it. I have to say that working on the JET program, you are considered a public school teacher, so you're considered a public servant, and public servants in Japan are not allowed to moonlight to teach outside of their regular work. That being said, I know most of the Jets, when I was on the JET program, even after I was on the JET program, because I'm still quite friendly with the JET program, teach outside of their workplace. Like I'm saying, doing private work, doing, you know, teaching, like I said, for a company, even teaching for a small group of people. And my idea about it was I knew that I wasn't supposed to, and I I just never talked about it. That was the thing. I mean, I never talked about it at work at when I was in the JET program. I never talked about it at school at all. I never even like went out with friends who were my teacher friends and talked about it. It was just something. It wasn't a topic that I would ever talk about. You got to be really careful in Japan because while I don't want to be stereotypical, well, I don't want to stereotype anybody. I should say, uh, Japanese tend to like to talk and tell rumors a little bit more, especially if you say something and you don't necessarily tell people that um, it's I don't want you to tell anybody, but you kind of like feel like this was obviously something I didn't want to tell people. If you didn't outright say it, they will talk. So, and I didn't want any of that coming back, so I decided not to talk about it at all. And I never had a problem. I mean, never. And I worked my 3 years on the JET program. Over that time, I had a lot of different part-time jobs. And the thing is, it's really interesting situation with the JET program because, and the people who run the program, including a lot of people at the higher up levels wherever you'll be working, will know that it's kind of a weird situation because they know that you're a public servant and that, but they also know that you came to Japan as a kind of ambassador in the kind of cliche way that you say an ambassador, really. And they know that, like, there are events in the community, like if a community center asks you to teach, that that's actually a good thing. But at the same time, you're a public servant, so there's a little bit weird thing there. Um, so I've known Jets who have told people that they had part-time jobs and didn't have a problem with it. I know other Jets who were told, no, you can't teach there because you're a public servant, you're not supposed to do that. So there's both kind of situations. I went by the method of don't tell anybody anything about it. It's my personal business after my work time at school. I never worked during my regular work hours, so without telling anybody anything, and without anybody telling me I couldn't do it straight up from my school, I just did it. And I have ever since I've been in Japan. So that being said, I know people who work for example, not the JET program, but private companies, private language schools, who, if they were caught teaching at another place, that would be grounds for dismissal. So you have to be really careful. I mean, some people have to be more careful than other people. But I also know many people who were in that situation who still did some work, like especially in situations where, it's like, come over to my house and teach me and my friends some English. And I know people who've worked at, let's say, community centers or companies who have just like made it very clear in no uncertain terms that you cannot, tell the company, you can't tell anybody that I'm teaching here, you can't advertise, you can't use my name. Also, when I first, actually I got off the JET program, actually when I was still on the JET program, I was working at a community center in the town where I was working as a JET. And this was at a civic hall, which was run by the city. So of course, those guys are public servants who know that I'm a public servant, who, still want me to come and teach at the community center. And I started working at the university after that, and I had to quit. And the only other person in the town was, foreigners who could take over the class were Jets. So they said, is it okay if we use your name as the teacher and then still have somebody else teach? That went on for like 10 years. I mean, I would actually sign the agreement to teach the class every year. They'd come over to my house and sign the agreement and give me some manju and stuff, and I never taught the class. Although I did teach it a couple times. There were like really strange occasions where I'd come in and substitute for the person who regularly taught the class, I did it just a few times, and people always go, "Oh, you're the guy on the contract, or on the advertising for this class." They always, some people would just really wonder about it and not ask about it. So there's definitely that kind of a situation. Anyway, if you want to teach privately on top of your regular job, I'm just telling you, a lot of people do it, and even if you're told you can't, there are a lot of people pulling you to do it, and if you do decide to do it, you have to be really careful in some situations. Other situations, you don't have to be so careful. I work at the university, and the university lets us teach outside, but I think we're technically supposed to tell them, but I don't want to ask anybody about it, so I keep it, I don't keep it secret, but at the same time, I haven't asked whether I have to tell somebody or not. Anyway, when you come here, you're going to be asked. So I'm going to be blogging a little bit more about this, hopefully, vlogging or Vimoing, video memoirs, and I hope I can give you some information that will help you out. So anyway, that's my first one, and please leave any comments or let me know what you think or what you'd like to hear about, or if you think it sucks, tell me it sucks, that's fine. And yeah, hope to see you around. Come back now.